I would like to welcome on stage Paul-Edouard LAUNAY from Jasper, and he came with some products for demos. So,
hi everyone. It's not exactly for demo, but just to be there during the use case that I'm going to present you. So thank you, Samuel, for giving me the stage, and thank you, all of you, for your time today. My name is Paul-Edouard LAUNAY. I am country director at Jasper. And I've been working within the telecommunication field for more than 20 years in R&D, in operation, in sales and marketing, and as well in some management role. And today within Jasper, Jasper is a company which is providing a unique solution which enables you to monitor, to monetize, and to deploy your IoT devices when it turns them to be in a cellular network. Jasper today, it's a startup, or can we still say a startup when we are more than 400 people? And we are based in Santa Clara, California. And we have been developing a product for more than 1 decade. And thanks to this continuous product development, we managed to gain a couple of customers that some of them you are quite well known from. So as you can see today on this slide, today IoT is definitely, of course, a worldwide business, and the worldwide activity that operators, all main operators in the world are looking for. And thanks to those platforms and to those operators which are providing a platform, we manage as well to help some enterprises around the world to perform and to monetize and to deploy their IoT services. What you see there is that IoT is not just because it's not just for big companies. It is not just for one geography, such as America. It is not even for one sector. IoT today, it's about everywhere, in any sector you may think, in everywhere, because IoT is always connected, so you may expand your business everywhere you want, and it's as well all sizes of businesses. And I wanted to give some flavor of Montpellier here. On this slide, you see Matuma. It's a small startup based in Montpellier. That is small, and still they are in IoT. And you see as well GE on the top. It is a multinational company, and they are in IoT as well. So IoT today, it's about services, but it's about services for all of us. Well, let's have the journey together now. Let's have the journey about a French company that is part of the CAC 40 index. And we are going, so this company is working in the IoT domain for more than 1 decade, and so far they got a total IoT devices fleet of more than 150,000 devices. 150,000 devices. The applications that we are going to look for the next minutes is about an industrial application. So it is about remote monitoring of industrial equipment. And when the first time I met Stéphane, who is leading this operation team in charge of the IoT, he explained me what was the challenges of the IoT and about the IoT project, because IoT is definitely something which is completely different from what we were used to do before. And Stéphane, he told me, look, Paul, you see the architecture we put in place, it was some IT backend. There is as well some specific platform due to IoT, and we are supporting our activity. Sorry. We are supporting our activity thanks to 2 equipment from Schneider Electric. And they are completely different. This first one is called the Ario. Ario, you put it on the electrical grid, so you have to plug in. And it enables you to monitor continuously manufacturing processes. Then it uses as well this SP50. This one is completely different from the previous one. It is about, it is working on battery. So according to Schneider Electric statement, it can live up to 6 years on this battery. Okay. And it's a type of equipment which is either in idle mode or activated mode. I mean that is typically an equipment you put close to your sensor, And if you have to send to the cloud or to your network some sensor, so I wake up, the SP50 wake up, sends the data, and then fall asleep again. I wake up, send the data, fall asleep again. So that is what about this architecture is based around. Well, you tell me, Paul, you know, the first issue I have is about the life cycle of my devices. Because when I receive them from the Schneider Electric manufacturing, and because I have to connect them to the Telefonica network on which I'm roaming, I have to include the SIM. But then I do not want to ship those devices to my factory without having performing some tests on them, because I want to avoid the dead on arrival equipment. So I perform some tests. But I do not want to be billable for that from my MNO's Telefonica. Because then my devices that I tested, maybe it will go in inventory. And then it will be useless to have a connectivity from my mobile network operator. Then it go to real life, and then maybe it will be suspended. So what we see with that, he told me, Stefan. Stefan told me, you see, in fact, IoT has very specific services, and they may evolve all along the life cycle of the devices. It's about limited services maybe at the beginning. Then the billable services can start maybe. Then it might be suspended. It might be resumed, and it must be demandstal. So what we see with that is that a device has a complete life cycle management that we need to monitor and to master. Because we are not talking about one device, we are talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of devices that maybe one company may have to monitor. And that was the first challenge that Stefan told me. But then he proceeded further. He told me, you know, IoT is as well something about extremely important. It's about the services that we support. Already, you see, with the two equipment we got, so the Irio and the FP50, we understand that the rate plan of this one, there are a lot of traffic, always on, always ongoing, continuously working. So the rate plan is about 200 megabytes or 100 megabytes or maybe 1 gig per month. But when we turn to this SP50, which is just gathering data from the sensor and providing them later on to the cloud, I mean, it's much less. So 2 services, 1 megabyte per month, so 100 megabytes per month for the other one. So I have to define different services plan with my mobile network operator, which means that in IoT, it's always different type of services that you have to put in place. Much more. Stefan told me, but you know what is going on during the project? I mean, there was a process engineer of this company that turned to me, and they say, in fact, now they were completely autonomous, those two equipment, and I want to introduce a master-slave relationship between those two. And for me, it was quite easy to put that in place for my process engineer. Because previously, I have already contracted a different service plan with my mobile network operator, in that case, Telefonica, and I just need to allocate a new service plan to these devices, because I make them communicating through SMS now. You see? So I add a new services to both of those equipment, and they are able to communicate in a different way, in a very seamless way, because I am able from my cockpit, from my portal, to define different services on the fly for any equipment that I am handling. Now the project is going quite well. I mean, the pilot went well. It's time to deploy. It's time to deploy, so we'll see that. It's time to deploy, and it's time to go to international. So for the European regions, it was quite easy for our customer, for Stefan, to deploy this equipment because he was using roaming agreement from Telefonica in Europe. So that was quite simple. When it turned to other regions, such as North America, APAC, it was slightly more complex. And there is one issue that popped up, what Stefan told me. It is about the IT integration effort that he did not want to do again, that he does not want to do and to perform again. I mean, typically, He said, well, already on the European regions, I am connected to Telefonica platform, IoT platform. I do not want to integrate an additional platform because I'm going to connect to America or to APAC. It will mean additional costs for me that I dislike. Thus, for him, it was quite easy, in fact. He told me, with your solution, it's quite easy because I can pick and choose some MNOs in America or APAC which are having already your platform, and then the API is the same. So I have already performed most of the job, and then it is quite seamless for me to integrate the rest of my equipment around the world. And thanks to the global footprint that some operator can provide to all MNCs, to multinational companies that want to go abroad to deploy their IoT devices abroad, thanks to this global footprint, I mean, it is a work for anyone, for any company, to perform this deployment. So what we see from that is that when we turn to IoT project, it is extremely important to, from the beginning, to start about global deployment all over the globe. Last, it is about as well what we can say, scalability. And Stefan, again, he told me, well, I got some budget constraint. I mean, it's not because I'm going to deploy 10,000 devices on the field that my CFO will allocate me the budget related to the growth. I have to be very budget constraint. I have to keep my budget. Much more. It's not because I cannot expand the team, but I do not want to impact the processes of my organization, which is hosting today my project, my IoT project. So that was a concern from my customer was how should an IoT project have to be scalable? Scalable without any impact in organization, on the team which is in charge of the deployment on the IoT operations, so to say. For your information, for the 13,000 devices that this application is sustaining, there are 10 people in this team. Beginning of this week, I was heard about an additional customer which is working in financial. They got 300,000 devices, and 3 people are managing the total fleet. 3 people managing, administrating, operating 300,000 devices. Just to give you some figures, what we are talking when it is about scalability. Well, so we know that it's about scalability evolution in IoT. But then Stefan, okay, we finished our discussion. But there was as well another case that I was knowing and that I'm going to put you in front of you. It's about one of our customers, which is ABB. So ABB, and more specifically, ABB Robotics. And ABB Robotics is having robots all over the world, of course, but more specifically in one client which is located in Mexico. And there, when he was turning to maintenance, so level 2 of defense, on level 3 if needed, it was difficult for ABB Robotics to provide this maintenance as he would expect. So he proposed to his customer, well, let's connect in via cellular, and let's see how we can diagnose and maintain remotely your robots thanks to cellular connectivity. So this true case went on. And then, of course, what can occur? I mean, something can fail on the global end-to-end solution, either on connectivity or in the robots. But because, thanks to the tools that ABB Robotics was having, it is possible for him to diagnose any errors that were on the connectivity layer. And once it is safe that the connectivity layer is up and running, then you can consider that the issue on this remote maintenance is much more related to the hardware itself, and to the robots itself. So that is as well a fourth, let's say, topics that can pop up when you turn about deploying an IoT project. And so how to excel on when you operate an IoT project, as we can see from what we have said previously, it's a couple of things to care about. So now if we slightly wrap up now, So we have seen that when it comes to IoT, we should be concerned about performance, diagnosis, provisioning, about diagnosis fault, about activation of service or changing a service on the device. So that I think now it's something which is quite clear, on at least on the use case made from this French company or from ABB, it was quite obvious. Now, if we want to let's say, to have a much more global picture about what it is when it turns to IT on IoT from an end-to-end perspective, this, I think, how we can, let's say, define the different silos that may exist in an end-to-end solution in IoT. So, of course, on the left-hand side, you may have the devices on the hardware, which is for you the most, let's say, CapEx-intensive part of your project, for sure. You will have to deal with some connectivity through your cellular networks. On top, in the middle, you will have some IoT service application, which show you how much an IoT project is very specific to what you used to know before. So, in that perspective, connectivity management are a new application for you to consider. Diagnosis, billing, how I'm going to bill my services to my customer, how I'm going to do it. That is a couple of challenges that you have to consider. If I want to put some name about this, complete environment when it turns to IoT project, you may, of course, recognize some, because some of them are already existing in normal, let's say, IT system. I'm thinking about all the enterprises application, SAP, Microsoft, and so on. But what is quite interesting as well to point out with this slide is that today, even the big players in software, such as SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft, they already know that IoT is very specific to the deployment of project, and they know that it is quite different from what they used to do before. So all of them are now deploying a specific suite, IoT suite. Microsoft announced it recently. It means clearly for all of us that when we deploy the project, there are a lot of specificities that we should consider. So we have seen a couple of challenges there. It was about scalability, and if we have to recap. We have seen about scalability, we have seen about global scale, to go broad, to go on a worldwide level. We have seen about lifetime management of the product, of the devices. We have seen as well about multiple usage. So when it's time to answer the challenges, there are a couple of, let's say, actions that could be considered. The first one is about automation, and that is what Thierry Bonhomme recently said. I mean, he said we have to automate because there will be a lot of data coming, a lot of action, a lot of situation in the environment that we are going to see that we should automate. I mean, what does it mean when the device connects twice per day, whereas it should connect only once? If he downloads 2 gigabytes of data, whereas it should download only 1 megabyte, what does it mean? How should I react on that? That is what is automation about. It's about intelligence, diagnosis. How can I, let's say, identify the fault that I may have on my connectivity layer so that I'm ensure the best SLA for my customer, internal or external. And it's, of course, about global deployment, because even if there is some projects which are, let's say, much more national, for example, ERDF on the Linky project, we can consider that in industry, in security, in other sectors, it is definitely on a large scale that we have to consider those projects. Well, I thank you all, and I have, if you have any question to ask me, or maybe I will hand you the floor.
Thank you very much. Yeah.